that. So the harsh truth is that the method people are using these days is not working. Watching YouTube tutorials, buying online courses that takes you about 12 months to be unemployed, and then build portfolios that managers don't look at, like you said yesterday, which I will allow you to, talk about it deeply today. So yeah, before I run ahead of myself, if you are here, like I said, drop your name or where you're chatting from. I think I can see your name already. Just tell us what you're looking forward to get, and just be ready to ask questions as much as possible. We'll be here to break everything down, and we want you to take something useful from this section and use it to turn your job application experience around. Yeah. So, in case you're seeing me for the first time, perhaps somebody invited you. I'm Victor Adekunle by name. I should probably be sharing my screen now just to a quick intro of myself, but then I'll just leave that for now. And my journey, my story. Oh yeah, good. So 3+ years ago, I moved into the UK from Nigeria. Prior to that time, I was fully into cryptocurrency trading, blockchain technology, market analysis. I was also running my PhD, my research. So I was on the 6th year already. And I think COVID added more years to it, the strikes in Nigeria and all sort of things. So, it's meant to be a 3 years program, but moved on like that, on and on. But anyway, it got interesting at the same time, not interesting at some point. So moving into the UK, after 5, 6 years of experience doing analysis in the health space anyway, epidemiology, that's I was analyzing spread of diseases. If you remember the year Ebola came into the world, Nigeria then, I think 2014, that was what really, I got the spark to join the research then. Yeah, so I started my research then and moved into other things, started analyzing Ebola, other things, HIV, diseases majorly. And then moving into the UK, I thought, yeah, it should be easy, as it is. I wasn't really planning to come around. I just came with my family because I made a promise to my wife I'm going to go with her anywhere to support our dreams, right? And we have a baby girl then, so let's just go together. It was COVID, so I didn't take the vaccine fully. So we're on isolation. So the first 10 days, I was almost depressed because you were indoors, not doing anything. I was just babysitting, and it felt like everything has ended, having a great career, doing well before now, and then like 10 days, you like nothing was happening in your life. While my wife was trying to get herself together for school, we were in England, then we had to move to Wales, and that was where the whole journey started. I started, looking at what the market could offer. I don't know what was going to work here, but I knew that real estate and tech, I wasn't fully in tech before now. I was really just doing analysis on my own and through my research. Yeah, the market analysis because that was what I do full time, like crypto trading and all. Yeah, so the struggle started from juggling boot camps. From one boot camp, started with Coursera. I felt like I didn't learn anything after I wasted like 4 months trying to do that. You know, Coursera good courses was fee, but I was religious with it, thinking when I'm done, I could just analyze anything in the world. But I was really nothing. I mean, there was nothing different. Yeah. So paid a lot of money, jumping from one boot camp to another, free ones. And this is one of the problems I see that people go through experience these days. There are a lot of information on the internet, so we have information overload, YouTube videos and different courses and all sort of things, and people get confused along the way. And so I had to jump on mentorship, and that was where the whole story started. Like the transformation came when I started getting mentors. Quickly going to share my screen, and that really changed everything for me, I must say. And it is one of the things that sparked the journey of me trying to mentor people because I knew what I experienced then. I wasn't going to allow anybody to go through that. If you are ready to submit yourself, to mentorship, so fast forward 6 months, exactly 1 year, I picked a job as a support worker just to support my family. Some people might have seen my story online, and then after all the years of research and all sort of things, so I was volunteering on the side, which is another thing I need people to know that you should volunteer to use your skill to help organizations. At least with that, you can gain real care experience. That is a thing that I hear a lot. Like, you don't have UK experience. I'm sure Lerato is going to tell us today why they ask that kind of question. It's so annoying and it's sad, you know. Yeah, so months later, I got my first role as a data analyst, business intelligence analyst, moving to a data scientist role after a year, 3 months, a data engineer, and currently the head of data and AI with We Are Here. So we started building solutions just for us to be able to solve this problem. Like I said, the passion to give and help is also there. So we built firstly Vividex anyway to help non-profits to make sense of their data. So it wasn't about profit, it was about just creating the awareness of data and helping them to analyze data. Then the next, LCFA, London Center for Analytics. So I became the director of that. And the whole idea is okay, boot camps, train people through real projects, real life cases, not just trying to put courses together to make money. And then an accelerator program. And by the name accelerator, is meant to accelerate your journey as a professional in the data field, meaning giving you access to real life problems, that is connecting you with organizations or problems that are business problems, real business problems through internships. And so that's the whole idea of, the accelerator. And currently, what I do with We Are Here, we're building an app for homeless guys, which is more about on vulnerable people, which is about a map where they can actually just see the closest place they can get support, food, shelter, all
Wow.
sort of food banks and all. Yeah, so just on a click, they can see where they are and how far they are to support. We'll make sure that this is updated so that they don't get there and meet no support. And then we are still putting privacy in place to be ensured that they are vulnerable. They need to, we can't just reveal their current location. So we're very careful with that. It's an interesting project. And one thing that is unique about this is that it's going to work offline because these guys sometimes they don't have data most of the time when they're out of,
Yeah.
some out of prison. So it's a difficult thing. So it's an interesting story for me and journey that I'm now connecting my initial background as a support worker now to building a solution to for them, you know. And so the whole idea for me is usually when I call it the pathway forward or the roadmap is to start small. You learn something little fundamental, then build on it. So for anyone who is here on the call listening, and then you're like, how do I start? You have to start small. Be aware of the market, which is usually the thing. Understand what the market is looking for. I'm sure Lera will agree with me. That the whole idea is for you to know what the market is asking for before you start to push your skills there, flashing it all over the place and saying, this is what I have. Be sure that you have what the market is asking for. The wrong question I get asked most of the time on the train or wherever people jam me on my way to ask, what's the certification that I can do? And I'm like, in my experience, over 3 years in the UK and even mentoring a lot of people, over 1,500 people, 400. I've really never been asked, and no, none of them came back to say they asked me for a certification. They are focused on what you can do, your experience. What have you done using your skills rather than what paper have you read, you know, and what paper do you have with you showing that you have read for a long time. It's not the same. It's actually very, very different. So from there, learn the basic skills, like I said, Power BI, SQL, Microsoft Excel, Python, then build real projects through volunteering. If you get a job, an internship, or that's good. And through accelerators like the one we have at Vividex or LCFA, yeah, good. And then grow bigger because there's a trend now, which is the AI trend, and that is actually the whole idea. We've gotten a lot of success story following this track, and people can really share their profiles with you. You can find them on LinkedIn, Chisholm, Trudy, Kenny, Rachel, people like that who started from non-technical backgrounds and then they switch into data analytics and they're working. Some even got sponsored, which is the conversation that I know a lot of people will be interested in and how to really get a sponsorship job. So my message to people here is to start with courage, courage to learn, courage to fail forward, and courage to believe you belong in tech. For some of us trying to start, there's this idea. This idea people carry every time. I want to try to see if it will work out for me. And I'm like, no, if you have that mindset of running back, once there is a slight problem, you would run, which is not supposed to be the thing, right? So, why are we talking about this today, majorly? Why is it data? If you look at this, my screen, just right there on the LCFA page, London Center for Analytics, the future is actually AI and data. In fact, it's here already. About 107, 70 million jobs will be released by 2030. We're talking about 5 years from here. And now is the time to start acting here. And 92 million jobs that are currently existing would fade off. Meaning, if you do the subtraction, the addition, you would have 78 million new jobs that will be created at the end of the day, or that will be available. And most of these are driven by AI and data. So if you're not in data right now or not doing anything that relates to that, you're going to be left behind. Yes, AI will take your job, but if you are the one behind the AI, it's not going to take your job, or at least get to understand what is going on in that space. Use AI very well. So don't say I don't know how to use it and then you are on the sideline. Yeah, we started a new cohort already, but I think we still have a few slots open because it's still onboarding. Trade over 1,400 plus, as I said earlier. And our professionals have worked in different places: NHS, Lead Beauty Society, Compared Market, Transport for Wales, and different places like that. So the harsh truth is that the method people are using these days is not working. Watching YouTube tutorials, buying online courses that takes you about 12 months to be unemployed, and then build portfolios that managers don't look at, like you said yesterday, which I will allow you to, talk about it deeply today. That they are more focused on that, your storytelling, your profile, rather than just your experience. They are focused on your experience as well, not just portfolios that they don't even see. And that's why we keep getting the no, the rejection, and the love letters piling up. Meanwhile, others are acting quickly and they're landing roles, up to 50K even for a start. So what system do we use that makes the whole difference? Is a LIFT system, LIFT, which is where the transformation comes. Start with the foundation, like I mentioned earlier, implement on project, that's a high, then frame it, learn how to frame your experience, which is storytelling, like your CV, your LinkedIn optimization. What do you talk about on LinkedIn? How do you explain your expertise? And then the transformation comes from there. And then don't take my word for it. If you can see on my screen, perhaps you'll be able to see testimonials who have actually done this and switching career from accounting to data, and they're able to cross, at the end of the day. So the whole idea is for you to start and get your hands on real projects, real opportunity to build stuff. I can, go on and on. People who have actually lost their track and they think they won't be able to do it, but they got the support and the help, and then this is it. The transformation is here already. All this would yield something that most people don't really think about. The average salary, if you look at England and Wales across here, you're looking at 45K per annum. And if you're working already, you can get a pay increase of up to 80%. Now here you can see we have a very high job placement rate because we don't take in everybody. We are very selective. People who actually want result. And all these things are delivered over three different programs. The bootcamp, the accelerator program, and the lift, which is a combination of the two programs. I know I'm maybe a bit fast just for you to roll on. I don't want to waste our time. I want us to get into the real deal, right? And yeah, so let's talk about you. I know this, I don't even know where to start from the wealth of experience you've built in the industry. Looking at this, it's been how many years, Lerato? Please tell us about it. Can you unmute your mic? Like on this journey,
Just confirm to me that you can hear me. Can you hear me now?
clearly, yeah, clearly I can.
Oh, that's perfect. Wow. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you. And welcome, everyone that's been listening so far. You are welcome from wherever you're joining from. It would be lovely to, I wish I could see where everybody's joining from, rather, so we could shout out your city. But I am located in Leeds, guys. So this is a quite an iconic city, especially for tech. So it's becoming the growing hub for the UK. So I assume if you're not from within the UK, you would learn to understand that this is quite a place of opportunity. But yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity again, Dr. Victor. It's a privilege, guys. It's nice to be here on a Sunday. So without going into too much detail, I've been in the country for quite a while now. So there's so much experiences that I've delved into, which is very fascinating. But today I present as Director of Higher House Recruitment, which is a recruitment agency that focuses on both the tech and the engineering side, which is the construction side. One of the things that we are building currently is a tool, I suppose, which is tied into what Dr. Victor's spoken about, which is a tech tool, and it's going to be AI powered eventually, but we're piloting it for young people between the ages of 16 and 24, which is to support more people going into the STEM careers. So we've further niched it down so that we don't focus on the S and the M. We're just focusing on tech and engineering. That's mostly what we do. We do the recruitment side as well. So we are in the process of partnering with most of these, places that I've just mentioned that we're growing in Leeds, and Leeds is growing as a city of tech as well. So I suppose that's a nutshell for me, because having been in the country, my background is HR. I've done so much of that aspect. So I have an understanding of sifting through CVs. I have an understanding of how, as passionate as you can be with your role, your career, you want it with all your heart, but you don't have the right information on that page, and you don't have the right information on for the recruiter to read. So I suppose that's the main reason for coming here today. So from my lens, I suppose I'm looking at how the industry is evolving generally, to face more like tech and AI. So some of the expectations that used to be there 5, 6, 10 years ago have changed. So yeah, I can't wait to share my knowledge, as little of my knowledge as I can.
All right, good, good, good. Yeah, so for me, I have a lot of questions for you, and but in the middle of that, I will be taking some of the questions that at least people are asking the audience. They are very, very important to me, yeah, and that's why we are here anyway. So we want to be sure that we have their questions and then we have the answers delivered to them um, with all sincerity, right, and openness. Good. So I already touched on something earlier, and maybe it's a major thing because the focus now is on people from the UK. Let's say we can always move around, from people all over the world joining us. I mean, this the knowledge and the experience is transferable, right? So good. A very common question before people start dropping. Like I said, if you are joining us, just start dropping where you are located, what you're currently doing, your profession, or what field you're trying to get into. Focus here is on data anyway. But however, I want to believe that we have other people there, and Lerato is experience all over, so she could really support you in a way too as well. So good. Why UK experience? Like, why do anybody?
I love that. That became the first question. So UK
Yeah.
experience is important, because believe it or not, we come from different cultures. And I think whilst we have grown up from where we've grown up from, whatever country in the world that you've come from, there's nothing like UK experience, because you don't know how the banter that happens in the offices, if you're actually working within the premises, or even during calls, like they just have a different sense of humor. They have a different way of driving results to
Hmm.
other countries in the world. So basically, you have to have a lens that it gives you emotional intelligence, the ability to articulate how to work with your supervisor, how to work with your peers. So, I believe our cultures differ, because some of us, maybe especially from the South, we're a bit more timid, we're not forthcoming. When it's time to ask questions, we want to hide in the back of the room. There's some other cultures, I believe, maybe the West and the North parts of Africa, that can be a bit more forthcoming and ask all the good questions that they can, but sometimes those questions can be a bit abrupt. So it's a genuine reason. It's just being able to understand the culture of the country. And once you've understood the culture, it's also just being able to deliver when it comes to the point where you're an analyst and you're bringing data and information to somebody that has to understand it back peeled to layman's terms. You should be able to do that quite easily.
The same experience, doing the job. So I begin to wonder what's the difference. Yeah, UK experience, like you said, but when it comes to the knowledge of the tool and how to use it to solve problems, I feel it's the same. So until you breaking it down now to give us an understanding of how they think about these things and how we don't see it, perhaps it's
Mm.
there, but then I still wonder why, you know.
It's also communication. So, thinking about it in the sense that when you are somebody that's quite analytical, I suppose your jargon might be different to somebody who does, your customer services role. So they know
mm,
how to just communicate at that level. I think one of the conversations I recently had with a different analyst, he was talking about if people could actually learn to start from a customer services role within the
mm,
UK, that would teach you how to interact, because the interaction is slightly different in the sense that even as you are today, sir, if you left the UK now with the small culture that you've built within the UK and you travel back to another country, travel back to Africa, you will receive customer services differently and you straight away pick it up that this is not quality customer service, because here in the UK from the get-go, there's that communication aspect that has to be slightly more eloquent, also polite, and also very customer centric. Whereas in some cultures, in some countries, it's less of that and more of the results.
mm,
And I think you can agree with me. So basically for people that are working in technical roles, sometimes you will see it as it's the same. I can go and work in Germany and just deliver results and I'm fine. The Germans are
mm,
fine with that, but not the British. So the way the cultures are, honestly, genuinely speaking, it may, like, it sounds so cliche, but it actually is very different. So the UK has this, I think they want to be a bit relaxed whilst they receive the results, whereas other cultures are very ultra results driven. So they just want to see the results on the table. There's no banter, there's nothing like that. So I would genuinely say it's the emotional intelligence, it's the level of communication, it's the way you ask and articulate yourself. Once
mm,
me and you have the same kind of energy, then the results are good because we've got the same energy. But it sounds so cliche, it sounds so simple, but once you understand, and like I said, if you worked in, say, a customer focusing role before you go into data, then you will understand. It's the people aspect of it.
mm, mm. The, the people aspect of it. Yeah, I think learning from here now probably won't stop questioning that the question again, trying to wonder why do you ask for UK experience and start looking forward to how we can gain the experience. And thank you very much for that. And just as a reminder to people, you can start dropping your questions and trust that you have the answers you're looking for so many years. If you've been trying or you've been trying for weeks, months, just call me here and drop all your questions. And I'm just as a reminder to you, Lerato is a head of HR, for her health recruitment with several years of experience in the domain. Trust me, she's phenomenal. So you don't want to hide your feeling. Just pour it out, definitely be polite. She's not the one who is sending rejection emails to you. So I must say that. Yeah, but ask those
Yes.
questions. So yeah, on behalf of everybody, yeah, again, so that's why I'm here anyway. Why questions are
Mm.
coming, I'll keep on asking questions so that we can talk through them. From your experience, your journey of several years. And again, thank you very much for being here. It's a privilege, I must say. What makes a CV stand out in today's market? I know it's been changing. Wasn't like that before, maybe for a data analyst or just generally in today's market. What makes a CV stand out?
So thank you again. I'm really humbled for that. So yeah, so what makes a CV stand out is the fact that I think I go back to the technical aspect and then measure that with people aspects. So when you show your CV, especially in the profile summary,
Mm,
when a recruiter looks at your CV and you've bolded out your experience, maybe your certification,
mm,
and your knowledge, say Excel, SQL, your Pythons, you've bolded them there in that summary. You've already created a conversation with someone. I look at recruitment as similar to dating, because when you're both sitting at the table, there's a certain criteria and certain qualities that that person needs to have that will tell you almost within the first 2 minutes for dating that this is the
mm,
right person and I should continue engaging with a CV. If the profile summary doesn't have or contain the buzzwords, the keywords that we're looking for, especially within tech, within data, you need to specify, I suppose, your location. That sometimes works depending on whether they're looking for a remote person or not. You need to specify your availability. You need to specify that you're data driven, and then summarize within that same sentence what skills you have. It's not the certificate as such, like you've mentioned already. Yes, somebody wants to see that you are continually learning. Yes, they want to see that you have maybe your skills bar at the side where you've written all your certifications, all your different, like you've mentioned there with, I think you mentioned Coursera and the boot camps that you've spent so much money on. You can put
Yeah.
that on the side, but the profile summary is the catch, is the one that catches the recruiter's eye first of all, because then it gives them the interest to go back to the bottom and start peeling the kind of person that you are before they can actually pick up their phone and call you.
Wow. So far, summary. I mean, it's interesting that I talk about this so much, but I've not really had the opportunity to dig deep into it to understand why. I mean, it's always the last part of the CV I say people should touch. That's like summarizing the whole of your experience. But there's something that I've read several times, and I actually believe it. I don't know how true this is. That recruiters don't spend more than 6 seconds, 7 seconds to check your CV, and the focus, like I said, is on this the summary part of it. Is this true from your experience?
Yes, so that's why the profile summary needs to be very strong. It needs to draw my eye, like you've mentioned. Within that 30 seconds is a very short time. 6 seconds is shorter. So you can imagine how quick I can just look at this paper, read, and see that okay, this person's name is catchy, interesting name. Okay, they're located in Leeds, or okay, they're looking for an in a data engineering role. They've done consultancy, but they've got a gap in their CV. I push that CV away. I look at the next one. So imagine if I had 1,000 CVs to go through. And I think technically, back when it was actual physical paper copies of a CV, that was even worse. So now, obviously, there's ATS systems that can actually sieve out the buzzwords. And hence why that 6 seconds it can actually go back down to 3. It can peel it back down to like the shortest millisecond. If your CV doesn't have the right buzzwords, no one is looking at it. So that's why if companies have the technical skill to as soon as you've sent your CV, if they accept you, there's an email that goes out. All the stuff is now automated. So you'll be thinking, are they actually reading my CV? I sent it a few seconds ago. It's because they've got ATS systems that have become faster than the recruiter's eye to look at that CV and see that, okay, if you've never done Python, you don't have UK experience, you don't have any of the things that we need for this particular role, they're not looking at your CV, unfortunately. So the strength lies in you being able to bold the key and the buzzwords. Like I said, for me, I think the buzzwords are the skills. The buzzwords are your ability to articulate what you are very powerful at doing within the profile summary.
Wow. Wow. Thank you very much for that detailed breakdown. And you touched on two things there, which you already answered one of the questions, but I think somebody is asking the other question here. So the question I was going to ask you next is, when you screen candidates, what grabs your attention first and what makes you move on, which I think you've actually mentioned, and why you just go over it
Yes.
and push it aside, you
Yeah,
know?
so obviously with your ability to, so that's why references go at the back. That's why it's very wise to have your skills in a small, what's the word, in a small box. Usually that's done by the Word document, in a small
Mhm.
text box on the side, but
Yeah.
have your educational experience coming below your profile summary. I've seen so many people create a CV that doesn't have a profile summary.
Oh
you'll
God.
be
So it's
you'll be
very,
so
very
shocked that a lot of people will create a CV and just, yeah, and just list what they've done before, and you think no one wants to look at a list. I think that's where
mm,
people get it wrong. It's not the list that I want. It's not the length of your CV or the list. It's not that. It's your impression of, and also it's the understanding of the role that you're being hired for. It should show up on your profile summary. So I'm an
wow.
eager person looking to become part of a team that's growing, so that I can become this, X, Y, Z, whether it's a data engineer, whether it's a data, scientist. So whatever it is, show that you actually understand what role you're applying for.
Mm.
People don't think of these things, but they're very important.
Wow, wow. Mappy, you actually still mentioned that again to show the importance of it. So, would you say never, if I get it clearly, never submit a CV without a professional summary because it just makes
Mm.
seeing you very easy. Yeah, thank you so
Mm.
much for that. You also mentioned ATS. You said something about that, and somebody already asked that. Please, how do one pass through the ATS system? Since application is first sorted by an ATS.
I don't have the key to unlock that one. So the ATS system obviously is set up to know what job you're applying for. So
Okay.
people have to learn to read their job descriptions in
Mm,
full. And then that's how you tailor your CV to that job description. That's how you pass your ATS. So you have to really understand what they're looking for and make sure you can match it within your CV, that this is the amount of experience I have and this is what they're looking for. So this is how I'm going to describe how I've done this role. And I think it's very important for me to always mention things like, when people are communicating their skill or their knowledge or their experience, you have to mention how you've solved a problem. Don't just list what you've done in that business. Mention how you've created a Power BI system that has saved the company or reduced the report, something that you've done where it reduces reporting time, so that you're articulating that you know what Power BI actually does. And a lot of people
mm,
don't know how to do that. So you need to show measurable results, not
mm.
just a list of things you've done within the business.
Wow, wow. Thank you very much for that. I will just add this question to that. ATS everywhere, people talk about it. In my own opinion and my view, I think people talk about ATS more than it's being used. Is it true? Is it that is it used that often, or people are just making this up because they've read about it and they're just talking about ATS, tweak your CV? Do you use it that often, like in your experience, and maybe from other recruiters that you know, or professionals in that field? Yeah.
ATS is used, and I think the one thing that ATS does, it's like a tracking tool, you see. So it's just going to be there. It's not just there to kick people out. It's also to bring a certain caliber of people within the business, and then it tracks that that recruitment process. So it definitely has to be used. So if you don't use it, then as a company, as a recruit, so, you're not tracking what you've done. You're not tracking the quality of candidates you've received. So I think one of the things that okay, somebody's written a comment there. So it's a way of sorting what information is coming through. It filters out so many things. It filters out from graphic to grammar mistakes. All these things that is a game changer, because
Mm,
as we're talking about how you master the way to craft your CV, grammar is one of the things that, me personally, if you send me a CV with a grammar mistake, I'm not reading your CV. So ATS picks up on things like this, like grammar, you being able to just align your CV in the right format. So all those things people take for granted. That's why a Word document, like using Word, I suppose, as being it's so critical, because it can actually create your full stops, where you put your commas, how to. So there is templates now available, and people should utilize those, because some ATS systems will just chuck your CV out. So that's why you have to pass that system. It's definitely something to be used.
mm, mm. Thank you so much. Yeah, so it was the same question. I just brought it to the screen so that people can know the questions we are answering. And I think we've been
Mm.
getting one or two questions. I still encourage you to drop more questions. Just pour out your mind, whatever doubts you have, come and validate your thoughts and your concerns here.